Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fine. Now you are in your class 11th, the new phase of life. That phase requires your concentration, your hard working in the competitions as well as for success in your life. Today we will start with our first chapter, that is the living world of biology. What is biology? What is biology? Bio means living. Bio means living. The study of living things is known as biology. Here in this class, you will study biology under two branches. First is study of plants, that is known as study of plants. It is known as botany. Study of animals, it is known as zoology. The chapters that are dealing with the study of plants, they are under botany, and the chapters that are dealing with the study of animals, they are under zoology. Biology has so many branches. As we move further for the syllabus, we came to know about other branches also, like cytology, morphology, anatomy, physiology, etc. So today we will start with our next chapter, the living world. It is the first chapter of your NCERT book. Living. Living means life. What is life? Life can be defined as a unique aggregation of molecules. Aggregation of molecules. These molecules have the tendency to express themselves through various chemical reactions, and that chemical reactions are known as metabolic reactions. Metabolic reactions. The basic purpose of these reactions is to transform or produce or utilize the energy. The term used to define these reactions in a cumulative way is collectively known as metabolism. Through metabolism, where biochemicals are synthesized. Biochemicals means that helps in the formation of cells or growth of cells or development of cells. These all help in the growth of living organism. Here we can discuss about the characteristics of the living beings. The main characteristics of the living beings are: first is growth, second is development, third is adaptation, fourth is responsiveness, then reproduction, then metabolism. The first characteristics of living being is growth. Growth means increase in number and mass of body cells by cell division. Increase in number or increase in mass. Growth is irreversible. Irreversible. It is irreversible in living beings. For example, a man attains a height of 5.5 feet. It never comes to 4 or 5 feet. And it is reversible in some non-living things. For example, a mountain is grown by the snow day by day when the temperature is very low. But when the temperature is high, it starts decreasing in size by melting the snow. It means life Irreversibility is not the characteristics of non-living things. It is the characteristics of only living things. In plants, growth occurs continuously throughout the life. Means plants are growing throughout the life. Why plants are growing throughout the life? You have studied in your class 9th. There are some meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue is present at the tips of root and stem. That's why they are growing throughout the life. These meristematic tissues have the ability to divide continuously because they have lot of cytoplasm. That's why they divide throughout the life and help in the increase of the growth in plants. But animals, they have animals have specific growth. They don't grow throughout the life. For example, animals like human beings and elephant, they grow up to a certain size. After that they stop their growth. But the plants, they grow throughout their life. And similarly mountains, mounds means soil mounds, they don't have definite property of growth. They can increase their growth and they can decrease their growth. It means the growth is the specific property of living beings, not the. Second is development. Development means it is the process through which an embryo becomes an adult, and after completing its whole lifespan, eventually it dies at last. Through development, an organism's genotype is expressed as phenotype, exposing genes to the action of natural selection. What is the meaning of genotype? Genotype means the type of genes that are expressing its characters. Phenotype means outer characters. During the development, the organism express these two types throughout their life. Now, what is the importance of development in a living organism? Development in living things is because of the internal processes occurring inside the body of the living organism, mainly because of the formation of new cells. The increase in the number of new cells or increase in the mass of an individual, it expresses its characteristic of development. Multicellular organisms exhibit development and growth by the process of. Next is adaptation. Adaptation means the structural feature of a living organism that develops. The structural feature of living organism that develop over a period of time to enable them to survive and reproduce in a particular environment. It is known as the adaptation. In other words, it is the ability of an organism. It is the ability of an organism to adjust in a particular type of environment. For example, camel. You have studied in your lower classes that camel is adapted to a desert. It has a long legs, padded feet, presence of hump for the storage of fat. These are the adaptive features of a camel. What is the importance of adaptation? What is the importance of adaptation? Importance is that because when an organism comes to a new place, it needs to search for three basic needs, that are food, shelter, and water. So in order to move around, it needs to adapt to its immediate environment for its survival. This is the importance of the adaptation. Next characteristic is responsiveness. Responsiveness, or you can call it consciousness. CONSCIOUS, consciousness. Consciousness means awareness of one's environments, actions, and intentions. Actions and intentions. It is present in all living organisms, mainly in the human beings. Human beings sense the environment through their sense organs. Human beings have 5 sense organs, you all know very well. Plants also respond to their external factors. Plants also respond to their external factors. That external factors are light, temperature, water, pollutants and other. In both plants and animals, photoperiod means duration of light. Photoperiod means duration of light. These all affect the reproductive growth in organisms, in both plants as well as in animals as well as in humans. Therefore all organisms are aware of their surroundings. So it is the defining property of living organisms. Human is the only organism having self-consciousness, that is he is aware of himself. It means consciousness is also the property of living beings. Next is reproduction. Reproduction is the biological process. It is the biological process by which living beings give birth to their young ones like itself. It is a biological process. Remember, it is a biological process. Reproduction occurs both in plants as well as in animals. It is also occur in unicellular organisms, prokaryotes, eukaryotes, etc. in all. Reproduction is mainly of two types: asexual reproduction as well as sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, no parents are required. No parents are required. Only one parent is required. Here two parents are required, that is one male and female. No gamete formation occurs. No gamete formation occurs. Here gamete formation occurs. No fusion of gametes. Here fusion of gametes. The organisms that are formed by the result of asexual reproduction are called the clones. Clones mean the carbon copy of the parent. Carbon copy of the parent. Here they are not clones. They are different from the parents. They are different from the parents means they have variations. Variations means difference among the organisms with their parents as well as with their brother and sister. For example, brother and sisters, the difference that you find in between you and your brother and sisters. Now first we will discuss about types of asexual reproduction. Types of asexual reproduction. First is fission. Fission means division. When an organism divides into two or more daughter cells, the process is known as fission. Now fission is of two types, binary fission and multiple fission. Bi means two, when the parent is divided into two daughter cells. Multiple means many, when the parent body is divided into more than two daughter cells, known as multiple fission. Binary fission occurs in amoeba, Paramecium, Leishmania, and multiple fission occurs in Plasmodium, amoeba, in cyst. I am writing here amoeba in cyst. Whenever you write amoeba in the example of multiple fission, you always write amoeba in cyst, because amoeba has mainly the binary fission mode of reproduction, not in cyst. In cyst occurs. In cyst means hard covering. Cyst means hard covering. Hard covering present when the conditions are not favorable. For example, extreme temperature, extreme low or extreme high. Then a hard layer is formed around the amoeba. In that hard layer, amoeba starts dividing again and divides into many cells. As soon as the favorable conditions come, the cyst around the amoeba break up and all amoeba comes out from the cyst. Next is budding. Budding means a small outgrowth known as bud starts growing on the parent body. Exactly look like the parent body, but it is too small in size. Whenever it attains the size, full shape regarding the just like the parent body, then it detaches itself from the parent body and starts living as independent life. It occurs in yeast. For example, in yeast develops its outgrowth, and firstly the cytoplasm starts dividing. Whenever the cytoplasm starts dividing first, this process is known as cytokinesis. Then the nucleus starts dividing. Then nucleus starts moving into that bud, and the division of nucleus is known as karyokinosis. Karyokinosis. It means cytokinosis is followed by the karyokinosis. Sometimes this bud may not detach from the parent body in yeast, and it forms a chain-like structure. This chain-like structure is known as pseudomycelium. Pseudomycelium in yeast. Pseudo means false, just as you called pseudopodia in amoeba. Pseudo always means false in biology. Next method is fragmentation. Fragmentation means when the parent body divides into fragments. Here we can take only one example, that is known as Spirogyra. When Spirogyra attains maturity, its body fragments into many parts, and each fragment arises into a new Spirogyra. Next method is known as the regeneration method. Regeneration means to regenerate any body part. This method is we can take it in a two senses. First is for regeneration of any part of the body, and second is as a mode of reproduction. Mode of reproduction occurs in planaria. Planaria. And a regenerate body part in starfish and lizard. You have seen the tail of whole lizard has broken down and it again regenerates after some days. That is known as regeneration. Same in the starfish. If any arm of the starfish is broken off during any accident or accidental way, or sometimes may due to any reason, it's again regenerate that arm. Now the question is, why regeneration is present in these animals, star and lizard? Why not in human beings? Because the growth of human beings is under the control of nervous system as well as the endocrine system, and no presence of stem cells. No stem cells. In starfish and lizard, some stem cells are present that help in the regeneration of the body parts. And planaria as a mode of reproduction. Planaria is just like this. If we cut the planaria into these many segments, then each fragment arises into a new planaria. This is a mode of reproduction in planaria. Next characteristic feature of living organism is known as metabolism. Last characteristic of living being is metabolism. Metabolism is the sum total of all the reactions that are occurring inside the body. Reactions that occur inside the body. They are of two types. One is anabolism. Next is catabolism. In anabolism, where two small compounds join to form a large compound. Means anabolism means to join small things and to form a large one. Catabolism means to break up. Where a large molecules break up into two small molecules is known as catabolism. And anabolisms require energy. It means it is the endothermic reactions, and catabolism release energy. It is a exothermic reactions. Here we can take the example of photosynthesis in plants. And in catabolism we can take the example of respiration, where glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water. In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water combine to form glucose. This is the characteristic of living organisms. Today we have discussed all the characteristics of living things. In the next session we will discuss the classification, identification and nomenclature of living organisms.